Hello everybody, it's me Marina and I am here with a little bit of a journal flip through. This is the last page you saw in my everyday carry journal. I've changed the inside of this like a little bit. I added this guy from the Pacific Northwest Pen Show. It's from Kernow, bookbinding and leather work. This paper, he kind of sold me on it. It's like Indian paper. He said it's like the perfect amount of toothiness. I was doing some sort of playing around in it earlier, and I just want to sort of like test it out to see what I will do next after this Hobonichi is filled. I think, did I show you guys this last time? I went to Oblation and this was there. So, let me see. Where was I? Was I here? No, I was here. This is the last page you saw me writing in. Here is something I did the next day or the day after. Just a little sort of like this week thing. Ben bought me a present, these like Fude nib sailor fountain pens, which are really cool, which I'll show you later. The dog got his collar stuck on our bedroom drawer in the middle of the night and like pulled it out of the drawer and scared us both. All three of us basically. And then the 4th of July, like I can't explain how fucked up I get on the 4th of July. I have had flashbacks in my life. I have PTSD, I've had flashbacks. The way the 4th of July triggers my mental state, it is beyond that. Like usually in a flashback, I'm like transported, mostly just emotionally, back to the period of time that like my trauma occurred. And I know how to get myself out of them, and I know how to manage them, and you know, it's been 20 years of working on this stuff. But when it is the 4th of July, the constant booming, it makes it I can't recover, right? So I'll get triggered, I'll start to flash back, I'll start to recover, then another firework will go off, and because there's no like rhyme or reason to it, I just keep cycling. And so first of all, now after all these years, I like hype myself up and freak out every 4th of July before the fireworks even start, although the fireworks usually start before the 4th of July, so there's that. And then the evening of the 4th of July, when it's just like booming, 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 I get so triggered that it starts to feel like I am being tortured on purpose, and that I am being tortured on purpose because I deserve it, and that I deserve it because I am a piece of shit person. And I can't get out of that until the next day. The only thing that I can do on the 4th of July is get stoned and put on marching band music super loud, because the drum will drown it out. I've never had a good 4th of July. I hate that holiday so fucking much. And I know that other people really like it. And I wish that we could both have what we wanted, right? Oh my God. Then I got obsessed with the work song from Hosher. And I painted the album cover, which is like collage. So it was actually kind of weird to paint. And then I started, oh, hold on. I'm going to bleep this out. That's somebody I met at an art store. And he told me and Ben about a drink and draw that we should go to. So I'll bleep this out. But then I wrote, see all these pages stuffed together? I wrote several pages about why I am mad about the fucking main character in the work song by Hosher. I had a whole journey. Then this is from the Pacific Northwest Pen Show. And then these are like notes from some of the panels. These are some people who work on tuning nibs, although I ended up getting my nib tuned by this guy, Jake Spear, who was there. These two are going to be there tomorrow, which for you is last week or the week before. But this is like a quick sketch of the panel and thinking about like paper types. And then Nicola Pang, who's here, said that sort of like in writing, if you want your writing to look better, spacing looks like having good spacing matters more than having good letter forms. So, and then he said, what gets trained is what gets improved, which I think that's why I'm doing this, right? Like, I don't particularly think that this sketch of the panelists is super great, but I still did it, you know? And I did it with my little Pepto Lammy that I showed you all last time. So then I went to Drawing Ghouls and I looked at a bunch of inks and I wrote down the names of the ones I liked the best. And I bought Diamine 150th Celebration Blood Orange from them. And then I also bought this Waterman from Nicola Pang. And this, like, the second he put it in my hand, I was like, it feels warm. And he was like, it's because it's not plastic, it's rubber. Like, you can tell a lot more on the cap. It feels more rubbery. But this is hard rubber. And we dipped it, so it has a little bit of ink in it, I think. It's very wet. But I think it'll be a good... First of all, it just feels really good in my hand. But I think it's going to be... And also there was water in it. That's why it's extra, extra wet. Where... Waterman is what I'm trying to write. It is... He said it's on the back here. 53, 52... Waterman 52, and then I don't know if the camera's picking this up, but there's some writing on here that says patented 1984 to May 23rd, 1999. Waterman's Ideal Fountain Pen, USA. August 1903. Yeah, I don't think this is from 1903. But look how pretty it is. And look, it has a little heart in the feed hole. I don't know if that's what it's called, but I'm pretty sure it's not what it's called. But yeah, and then from Glam Pig at the Pacific Northwest pen show, I got this Schaefer, which says W.A. Schaefer Pen Company, Fort Madison, Iowa, U.S., made in the USA. And 14 karat gold nib. This, because I was looking at his stuff and I showed him my Schaefer, which I told y'all isn't filling the way I think it should. And he confirmed that what is happening is that this red plastic is shrinking. And he showed me how to feel around the edge where it's shrinking around the O-ring, and that's why it's so difficult to open. And he advised me to get either silicone or graphite silicone lube. Hopefully not the sex kind, but maybe. Lube is lube, right? Anyway, he advised me to get some lubrication into this because he thinks that why it's not filling properly is because I can't get a good enough speed for it to create a vacuum. But then he also said if the O-ring is compromised, that the pen is pretty much just decoration now, which that's fine. I learned a lot from this pen and I love her. I'm very excited for this pen. And then I ran into the guy who owns Rickshaw, and I recognized him, and he gave me this special, this is the Pacific Northwest, this is like the Portland flag, Pacific Northwest pen koozie. Look. And then it goes around your neck. And he also had some stickers. It says make someone's day, which he totally made mine. And then it has the PNW pen show sticker. And then Kirk Spear, who tuned up these two guys. This guy was writing, this was my Lamy 2000, and it was writing skippy, like it would skip. No more skips. So he tuned her up. And then my Pilot Vanishing Point was so feedbacky that it would like make my teeth itch to write with her. And so he like tuned her up too. Perfect. Love it. So now I want to show you what Ben got me. Well, actually I should keep that open because I still want to write. For a present, and these actually go in there. Sailor converters. I know what ink I want to put in them, so I keep like waiting to like be able to have time to like sit down and clean them and put the converters in and blah blah blah. But these two things, these Sailor Japan Fude nibs. Here, I'll get a new page. This one is the 55 degrees. And I'm not sure, let me stand up and make sure you can see this. I don't know if the camera is picking it up. Can you see how that nib is pointed? Let me see, maybe if I get the back of like a dark surface, you can see it. So the nib sits at an angle, which I drew it over here. And see how these lines, it can make very thin lines. See? But then if I lay it flat, it can make these super thick lines. And then it can go from very thin to thicker, to thicker, to thicker, to thicker, to thickest. If I just change the angle of my hand against the page. And then this one is the same, but it's a 45. So its thickest is not as thick, although it's still quite impressive. Its thinnest is also really thin. So, but I'm going to use these converters to fill, I'm going to fill this one with a light ink, probably Sailor 150th Anniversary Golden Honey, which I have right here. Or not Sailor, Diamine. And then I'll fill this one with a darker ink, probably Monteverde, I think it's Monteverde USA Gorilla. Let me see, I have, yeah, Monteverde Gorilla. I don't have it on this page, but it's like a rich red-brown. I think Gorilla's a rich red-brown. But yeah. So that's the plan for those. And then I was at, there's this, I think it's just called Art Store. I don't know what it's called. On Burnside in Portland. It's on Southeast Burnside in Portland. And where is the lid for these? Oh, here it is. Oh, but it doesn't have anything on it. These guys, I got rid of the label, but Niji Artist Gouache, they're in like glass bottles, and they have this lid that goes on like this. And And I've been keeping them here on my desk with my brushes just to like noodle around on stuff. And the other day I was thinking about growth because I was thinking about my company. And here, first I'll show you the painting I painted first. So I was thinking about growth and thinking about my company, and I painted, that's my coffee. I painted this painting. So this is like the blue of like safety. I was thinking a lot about the hero's journey from, what is it? What's his name? You know, that guy who wrote the hero's journey. Anyway, and I was thinking about how, you know, the hero's journey starts with like safety and everything is great. But then there's like a stagnation, there's like a death, there's like an ego death, there's like a threat that makes the character go off into the unknown and you know, go into growth, and growth sort of encroaches on their safety and sort of demands that they have like a spark, sort of a combustion that forces them to change and grow. And then, of course, after they've sort of like cooled down, they carve out some more safety from them. This is me like carving pigment off of the page with the brush, and there's sort of life happening. But then eventually growth encroaches again, right? It's this cycle of safety and growth. And then I was like, that is fucking reactionary. That's like really reactionary. So then I tried to paint like, what is an organic growth? Like, you know how even if you don't intend to grow, you grow. Even if you don't intend to learn, you learn. Like, even in situations where you're like emotionally shut down, or you're experiencing trauma, or you're deep in like a space that you need to recover from, you're still growing and learning, right? And so I did this whole wash where I was like thinking about dreams and thinking about fantasy and thinking about subconscious. And then I was thinking about it sort of bubbling up. And then I was like, no, but it also comes down from like inspiration. So then I like did that. And then I was carving out these like organic shapes, but they were like barren. And I was like, what is going on? Why is this so cold? And then I was talking to my office mate, and I was like, what if we were born in like a verdant, temperate meadow, and the water in the stream was fresh, and there were always delicious berries to eat, and we didn't have to do anything to survive? What kind of growth would we experience if that was our birthplace? And he was like, that's fucking deep for like a Thursday. But then I was like, because like I feel like growth, we would still have dreams, we would still have things that sort of like bubbled up from within us to grow. And he was like, well, what about circles, right? Like, what about spirals? Like, growth is also a spiral because you're always sort of like going all over your own path and like iterating on versions of you from before. And I was like, yeah. So then I started painting like a sort of spiral, and it started with yellow because it started with like yellow really felt like longing, but also like a hopeful longing. Like, this is great, but what if it was better? Like, this is great, but what if it was also like this, right? Like, and so then there's like that need to build. So I went yellow, orange, ochre, red, green. And then because of the sort of like spirally nature, it just felt like there was an eye in the middle of the plant. And so I like brought that out. And then I was like, oh fuck, I drew a flower. Like, I didn't plan to draw a flower. It just was a flower. It was just this. There was no stem. And then I was like, fuck it, I'm full sending it. So I drew the stem in, and that's where we are. I don't necessarily think that this is done. And I don't really think I think that this painting was mostly for me to sort of like help me think about what growth looks like in a post-scarcity world. Not that I actually live in one. I mean, we really do by the numbers, but we don't because of capitalism. But like, what does this sort of like, and the eye feels like sort of an inner wisdom that is organically generating you know, new levels, right? New opportunities, new versions, you know, and we have this background that sort of feels a little bit chaotic and could feel somewhat cold and dangerous. But then in the middle of all of this kind of like liquidity, there is this really solid growth, right? I don't know what that means. I don't know how that informs my business planning going forward, but this is where we are. That's what I'm doing. So I gotta go. I have to eat dinner. I was just really looking forward to sharing these things with you, and I did, and I'm so happy. But yeah, bye.